Alright guys, so in our last video, we got our Hamsky hybrid hunter here mounted on the bow. So now what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and throw our D-loop on and kind of get the bow ready to be able to shoot. So first thing we're going to do is just snap on the string level. Obviously very important to make sure that the bow is level and everything goes on perpendicular. So once you verify that your string is level, go ahead and pop the level back off, and I'm going to go ahead and throw my arrow on now. And I'm also going to throw level on our arrow. So on this particular bow with Matthews using true binary setup with these, I'm actually going to be setting everything perfectly 90-degree level on this bow. Certain bows you get into, solo cams or some cable driven rest, can actually want the arrow to be slightly tail high. Again, it's all going to be dependent on your bow, and it can take some playing and getting used to. Again, I've set up a bunch of these, and enough of them I know that this particular bow is going to like a 90-degree knock set. So all we're going to do from this point, I'm going to go ahead and take just I got a 5/6 inch piece. This is a BCY number 24. It's called D-loop material. So we're going to go ahead and start our top knot on this. For your D-loop, it's very simple, basically half hitch. What we were looking for is opposing knots. So in other words, we want our finished ends of our knots going to be on opposing sides of the string. It's going to give us good uniform pull. So to get started, what we're going to do is I'm going to take my D-loop material and I'm just going to make a U shape with it. I'm going to have my tag ends facing towards the front end of the bow, and obviously the loop section facing towards the archer. So now what we're going to do is you're just going to bring both your tag ends around the front of the string here, and we're going to stick both of them through the loop. Now what I like to do at this point is I'm going to take my bottom tag and we're just going to pull that tight and slowly cinch down on the knot. And we're not worried too much about positioning yet, mostly just trying to get the knot kind of formed. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to take my knife in and I'm going to cut this tag end. And again, you want your short tag end to be on the top side of things. And what I'll generally do is I'll cut this and leave about an 1/8 inch of a tag there. And once that's cut, we'll just go in, mushroom this real good. Sometimes it does help to use a pair of pliers for this. And we're just going to go in with a lighter and melt this. Now one big thing you see a lot of guys do is you don't actually want to light this on fire. A lot of times if this does light on fire, it can actually crystallize this material and it can actually make a little bit weaker knot. So we're not going to use direct heat. We're just going to start the flame and just bring it kind of close. And you'll see the fibers start to curl in, slowly start to melt. So once you got it hot, you can either take the side of your lighter or your finger and just mushroom that out. And that'll give us kind of our stopping point to cinch everything against. So now once that knot's set up, again, we're just going to come back and I want to check my level on everything. So once we got our knot started there on the loop, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in, double check that my bow is still level, make any adjustments as needed. So once we got our knot started on the loop, what I'm going to go ahead and do is take my needle nose pliers and go in here and I'm going to cinch down on that knot just to tighten everything down. Sometimes it does help to go ahead and remove your arrow at this step. Now one thing too, you do kind of want to watch as you're tightening down on these. A lot of times your knot will begin to separate. So again, I'm just going to go in with the pliers, kind of squeeze that together and continue to tighten down on this. So for my next step, what I like to do is I'm going to remount my arrow. And I'm actually going to tie a soft knock right underneath this knock. So what I'm going to do is just take a length. This is a Brownell, this is 62X serving material. So I'm going to cut this. And you don't really need much for this. I just tear off some extra. It just makes it a little bit easier to tie these knots. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to come in just underneath my knot, my knock, and I'm just going to do a double overhand knot. This is a good self-tightening knot. A lot of times you guys refer to this as a super knot. We're just going to slowly bring that in and position it. So you do want to leave a little bit of gap underneath your knock. Typically I'll leave about a 64th or so. I'm just going to go ahead and cinch that up, and what you're actually do is bring these around the back side of the string, and we're going to do the same thing. We'll do a double overhand knot. Put that in place. Just bring it up. And it helps to make sure that you're wrapping these real clean. You can oftentimes get some sloppy knots on here, and it can make things a little bit kind of difficult when you go start throwing your loop back in there again. So again, we'll just kind of keep continuous. I'm going to do 4 or 5 of these double overhand knots. Make sure you're crisscrossing on the string each time. So once we've got 4 or 5 knots on there, we're going to go ahead and finish this. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump in and actually tie a square knot on this. So all you're going to do for that simply is just 1 overhand knot, pull it down, tighten that, and you throw 1 more overhand on top of that. Go in with a lighter, touch both of those tag ends. There we go. So now we have the soft knock underneath there. Basically what this is going to do now as we're shooting this bow, once I have my second knot down here on my loop, it's going to prevent anything from wanting to slide up. So kind of the importance of these soft knocks that you will see is a lot of guys will kind of run into inexplainable tuning issues where everything seems right on the bow, everything should be shooting good forms there, arrow spine's correct, and they're just getting some weird arrow flight, typically up or down porpoising. A lot of times what that's caused is by a knock set that's set too tight, so essentially it's pinching the knock, it's causing arrows to lift off the rest of full draw, and it can cause a lot of funky things obviously with flight. So by throwing either a bottom knock set, or a lot of guys will throw a top and bottom, it's just going to eliminate a lot of those issues. So now to finish this super simple process, we're basically going to reverse exactly what we did up on top. So again, all we're going to do is we're going to take our remaining loop here, we're going to make another U in it, and we're going to take this tag in, and we're actually going to go around the same side that our knot is on. So again, it kind of seems backwards because we do want these opposite, but this first knot is going around the same direction. So we're just going to pull that through, cinch it down, and this next one we're actually going to come around the front side of the string, and this tail end is going to go in the opposing direction. So now you can see we're kind of getting to the point where this knot is on this side of the string, this top knot is on the far side of the string. So now we're going to go ahead and cut this. It will take a little bit of playing, especially depending on what length of D-loop you'd like on your bow as far as how much of a tail end to cut here. Tip for myself, I like a D-loop in the 3/4 of an inch range. I do shoot a handheld release. I like a little bit longer release. It does provide a little bit more forgiveness there. So I'm going to cut this about, I'm going to say about a 1/2 inch past the string. So we're going to drop the blade on there, 1/2 inch, cut it, and then go back in with our pliers just to hang on to the string. I'm going to mushroom this out so it's feathered out with your finger. So you can see obviously our end of our loop there is well mushroomed. So let's take a lighter. Again, you just want to use indirect heat on this. Don't actually want to touch it. Bring that down until it melts and flatten it. So once we're flattened, all you do is you just kind of feed this tag end through there. Start pulling the knot. You can see we're starting to kind of come to shape. What I'll do is actually stick these pliers in here and pull this a little bit just to get it started. Now these particular pliers I use from Easton do have what they call the D-loop pliers, so essentially I can sit in there and you can cinch this down. So we're just going to take these 2 jaws, set them in here, squeeze. There's our finished loop. So next step we're going to do now that we have our loop on here, we have our rest is set for center shot and elevation, is we're going to go ahead and throw our sight on. We're going to get that leveled out, and then we're going to move on to actual tuning of this bow. So as always, guys, if you have any questions on this process or any of the products we're using on this or anything throughout this process, make sure that you drop any of the questions down in the comment section below. We'll make sure to get all you guys answered on that. And as always, hit the subscribe button if you like what you're seeing. Stay tuned for the next step on this bow build.